Welcome to the Know, I'm Mica.
I'm Ben.
We've seen some pretty significant executives leaving Sony lately, but this one is definitely the biggest. Sony CEO and PlayStation god Kaz Hirai surprised everyone today with the announcement that he is indeed stepping down.
Hirai and Sony go all the way back to the 80s, and he was instrumental behind the launch of the original PlayStation back in the mid-90s. After working in the PlayStation division for years, he took over Sony as CEO in 2012. But he's remained a champion of the gaming division, which has seen big growth in recent years with the success of the PlayStation 4.
Hirai is the latest in a string of executives who came out of the PlayStation division to leave Sony, and some are wondering if this means that Sony Entertainment side, its films, music, and yes, its video games, will have a smaller voice at the company moving forward.
And with all the media mergers going on, what could Hirai's departure mean for the future of the company? Hirai was famously against Sony being acquired, but now that he's leaving, could someone come along and gobble Sony up?
Okay, well, let's catch you up on the background first. Sony announced this morning that Hirai is stepping down as president and CEO as of April 1st, although he'll still remain at Sony in the role as chairman and will serve on the company's board of directors.
Hirai released a statement saying that as president, his mission was to ensure Sony continues to be a company that provides customers with kondo, to move them emotionally, and inspires and fulfills their curiosity.
He added, as the company approaches a critical juncture when we embark on a new mid-range plan, I consider this to be the ideal time to pass the baton of leadership to new management, for the future of Sony and also for myself to embark on a new chapter in my life.
Hirai said he'll pass that baton to Kenichiro Yoshida, who is currently Executive Deputy President and Chief Financial Officer at the company, as his replacement.
Yoshida thanked Hirai and said that he felt a great sense of responsibility in his new job.
He said, "This is a hugely exciting time at Sony as we look to our future, and together with my management team, I intend to determine the best path for us to move forward, and devote my full effort to creating a better Sony that captures the imagination of our many stakeholders around the world."
Hirai has had the top job at Sony since 2012 after the departure of Howard Stringer. He's been a part of the company since 1983 and joined the PlayStation division in the 90s, where he was a big part of the successful launch of the original PlayStation. Hirai kept climbing the ladder and eventually headed all of Sony's video game business.
His departure is the latest of a number of former PlayStation executives. Ken Kutaragi, aka the father of the PlayStation, stepped down from management of that business in 2007, then he left Sony completely in 2011.
And after Hirai was promoted to CEO, Andrew House moved up to head the worldwide PlayStation business, but House announced last year that he was stepping down as president of Sony Entertainment Interactive.
As VentureBeat put it, Hirai's whole group of game leaders was a unique and smart bunch, and with Hirai stepping down, it's a dawn of a new post-PlayStation era at Sony. There are still many veteran leaders running Sony's game business, but many of the crew who helped PlayStation beat Nintendo in its formative years are gone or are leaving.
Hirai has gotten a lot of credit for turning things around at Sony, which had been struggling financially when he became CEO in 2012. But he believed in the console business, and Sony has bounced back thanks in no small part to the PS4's success this generation.
According to Sony's latest earnings report, the games division earned $6.5 billion in the most recent quarter, which is a 16% increase. Hardware sales of the PS4 dropped from 9.7 million to 9 million, but considering how many PS4s have been sold, that's not really a huge shock.
Nah.
Software sales were up 71% compared to last year.
And as a whole for the quarter, Sony earned $25.5 billion, which was an 11.5% increase year over year.
So why is Hirai stepping down? Well, apparently it was his idea.
Huh.
Variety reported that he made the decision partly because he was tired of constantly traveling as a CEO, and also, of course, he wants to spend more time with his family.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I can't really blame him for that.
Yeah, but he won't be going away entirely. In a conference call with investors, he said that Sony's board asked him to remain in a support role for the new CEO, and he said he'll provide that as long as it's needed.
So, big question for everybody, what's next for Sony? Well, lots of people are wondering if it could become a takeover target, something that Hirai has famously opposed in the past. But takeovers are definitely a thing right now in the media industry, most notably with Disney's pending acquisition of Fox.
And Sony, with its entertainment division and huge backlogs of movies and TV shows, could be a target for someone who needs a lot of content.
Variety noted, Hirai has been particularly forceful about batting down sales talk, but observers think Sony Corp may simply get swept up in the moment if large-scale consolidation continues among major media firms.
And while Sony is a big corporation with a lot of different businesses, it's tiny next to some of the other tech and media giants out there like Disney, Fox, Time Warner, Comcast, and Viacom. To give you a little bit of perspective, Sony currently has a valuation of about $62 billion, and by comparison, Apple is $861 billion. Google is $816 billion. Amazon is $669 billion, nice. And Facebook is $561 billion.
So yeah, there are companies out there that could easily gobble up Sony. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But for now, it's a sad day as we see one of the true legends of gaming step down.
So what do you guys think of Kaz Hirai stepping down from his role at Sony? Let us know in the comments.
And for all of your Sony and gaming news, be sure to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to The Know.
Again, executives leaving Sony lately, but this one is definitely the biggest. Sony CEO and PlayStation god Kaz.
Like Tetsuo.
Kaz Hirai. Kaz Hirai. That's his name.
Anime, teaching you how to speak Japanese since Dragon Ball Z?